Good evening, you're watching the Punter here on Sports Tonight. And it has been a magnificent opening day at the Open Championship up at Lytham St Anne's. Some low scoring in parts, some surprising names over par as well. We're going to discuss it all tonight and how it's affected the odds. I'm Trevor Harris. Russ Wiseman joins me from Sporting Bet. How are you, Russ?
Great form, Trev. As you mentioned there, some fantastic sport on, but the Open clearly taking centre stage. And like you said, great names at the top of the board as well.
The interesting thing for me is that Adam Scott will steal most of the headlines tomorrow for that 64, 6 under. But from a betting point of view, the fact that Tiger is right in the mix and played well, just if he'd hold a few putts, he would have been 6, 7 under himself. Does that have a few bookmakers a little bit nervous tonight? I
just think that is such a superb point. It was one I was going to make actually before you made it, because the reason is, of course, Tiger Woods has been pretty friendless in this tournament for him.
Yeah.
I mean, normally when he comes over to these shores, it doesn't take any encouragement for punters to get stuck into him. But he's been pretty friendless now. There's been a whole range of other players backed. But the fact that he's on that leaderboard, as you mentioned there, after day one, it completely changes the complexion from a bookmaker's point of view. We'll go through the odds in a minute. He's around about 5, 6 to 1 favourite to win this tournament now. I've no doubt in my own mind that he will be the best back player tonight. He'll definitely be a loser in every bookmaker's coffers come tomorrow morning. It does change the complexion, and it makes it a great punting tournament.
Well, talking of friendless, we can join our own Billy No Mates, the bet butler. We've sent him back to Lytham. What's happening with his outright odds, Nigel?
Yeah, I'm just making you see if thing was coming before I give you it. Right, I've got the all clear. It's all right. No, right. I mean, I tell you what. One thing about today, we've seen probably one of the biggest betting days on golf history. I reckon, industry-wise, there's £40 million wagered on the outright market in the Open Golf, and that is just not today. That's on the build-up so far of the competition. Now, I think this Open competition is going to break all records, and the reason why is this man here, Tiger Woods, is at the top of the betting. He's back to his best. Russ absolutely said it right. He was friendless. There was a standoff between exchange punters and bookmakers. They wanted to get this Tiger in. We can get him beat, they were saying. We're offering you 7 places. We'll give you 5 to 2. He gets in the first 7. And over to 2 now. Hey, come on, you punters. I'll tell you what, he's back. Tiger is back. These bookmakers, I say, it's not the outright market they're going to be worried about. It's these 6 and 7 places they've been paying out. 5 to 2, 15, 2 to 1. Whatever bookmaker you went with, that's where they're going to do their money, because they've gone too generous on the place market. They're backing over broke. Adam Scott, the leader, shooting 64. The third time in the last 3 years at Lytham, a guy shot 6 under in the first round. The last 2 haven't won it. That was Montgomery in 2001 and a guy called Paul Broadhurst, who I remember vividly, in 1996. Didn't win it, but the winner come from in the top 6. So you're looking around in the Open Championship now, you've got to look around these guys. And this man here, Rory McIlroy, I said yesterday, 25 to 1. I said Padraig Harrington was the worst 20 to 1 shot you could ever see. Have a match bet with McIlroy, because he's the up-and-coming star, and Padraig Harrington, who won it, well, when I was a young lad, he was about a 20 to 1 shot. This is the boy you want to be looking at. If I'm looking at this now, I'm a rebase. He's on the prowl. He's looking good. My tip here, Zach Johnson, 80 to 1 into 14 to 1. I thought he played so steady today. World number 1, Luke Donald, 16 to 1. But look at him, 5.5 to 1 the field. Just about between 5 and 6 to 1 Tiger Woods. Anybody within the top 30 can win it, 40 to win it. Records are going to be broken this week on the Open Golf Championship, and you wait till Sunday. If there's 6 or 7 or maybe even 10, 12, 20 people in with a chance, that's when the real readies come out. That's when the people start betting on. But Tiger Woods leads the Open Golf betting, and the bookies are running scared.
Are you running scared? Because at one point today, when I was looking at monitoring the in-play prices, I think when Tiger had rolled in another birdie on the front 9, he was as short as 5 to 2 on the outright market. Now, obviously, other players played well, surpassed his score, so he's gone out. But that was really short so early in the tournament. He's one guy that bookies are afraid of when he's on a roll.
I mean, historically, and the butler will know this as much as anyone, Trev, traditionally, he is the guy who's cost bookmakers more money than any other sportsman probably in the last 20 years. Let's put that in perspective. I mean, why wouldn't you run scared of this guy, make him shorter than he probably should be? 5 to 2 is painfully short, as we know. But it doesn't take any encouragement for people to start getting behind Woods. And like Nigel said there, I mean, you look at the market now. He's right up there. He was friendless beforehand. The other guy who was friendless is usually the other nemesis of bookmakers in golf over the last couple of years, Rory McIlroy, 25 to 1 yesterday into 9 to 1. So 2 guys who you'd normally be dead set against, and now suddenly right at the forefront, they're going to become losers. What's interesting for me about this tournament so far, we've not really seen any of the rags, the 500 to 1 shots come clear. This looks like it's going to be a cream of the crop kind of tournament, and that will add even further weight to what the Butler said there about this turnover figure, which he's bang on right again. 40 million approximately across the industry today. Come Sunday,
amount.
if we can just put it in a situation where Woods and a few of these big names are in play on Sunday, well, you guys are going to have a fabulous show on Sunday. I can tell you, it'll be really something to behold because the money will be huge. 14.
I thought we had a recession, but obviously hasn't affected the open betting. Let's have a look at some three balls. We'll go back to the bet, Butler. Adam Scott's the first one we're going to have a look at, Butler. Obviously, a great round today for the Australian. He's in with Matt Kuchar. And interestingly, there's not a great deal between them, is there, in the prices?
No, there isn't. I mean, I'll tell you something about here. There's one thing you've got to do when you're backing these guys. Never, ever, ever back people odds on or even money in three balls. That is the first way to the top poorhouse. You look today, Kamer played in one of the three balls, odds on 4-5, shot of 77, was beaten by two unknowns. When you get to these kind of prices, even money or odds on, they are the ones to avoid, even though they might have done it today. And one thing about sport, always, when people peak a day before, the second round, they never do it. They never, ever do it. So Kuchar, for me, who we were on last night with Brad Barry from Ladbrokes, he said the Ladbrokes voice fancied him to do well. He's a quality player. I'm all over Kuchar at 5-4 here to beat Scott because I don't think you can do it twice. I think you go for a steady round your second round and you don't have to hit your 64. You just need to keep yourself in contention. So Kuchar, for me, despite his heroics today. This one here, very, very interesting. Clark, not for me at 3-1. I think you need another 3 on the end of it for me to begin tempted by that. And this is the battle between the Butler and Trevor Harris. This is Trev's tip, Ernie Els. Butler's tip, Zach Johnson. You know what? I'm telling you what, Zach Johnson played extremely well. He's the man in form. He was so steady today. Tee to green, superb. And he won last week from the John Deere Championship. This, Zach Johnson, is a real each-way contender for this championship. Again, I wouldn't be rushing into people who've gone 2 under because it's like 6 unders, 4 unders, because all they need to do is put a steady round. They're not going to go to try to burn the course up. It's up to these other guys. So Kuchar, 5-4, Els 11-8. They've got to make a move, so the pressure's on them. So what I would say to three ball backers out there is look at the days before and just don't even worry about it because a guy who hits a 64 isn't necessarily going to do the same again. He's more likely going with a 70. And it's up to these guys, Kuchar, to make their move. So when you see odds-on favourites, avoid them in the three balls.
I smell a side bet coming on, you and I, mate, Els and Johnson. Els doesn't have to make a move. He's 3 off the pace with 54 holes to go. He's fine. What do you make of Butler's assertion that someone who's played so well on the first day, i.e. Adam Scott, won't be able to reproduce it tomorrow, and that makes Kuchar value? I mean, it is an argument.
I'm bang with it. I mean, the pressure's on Scott now to reproduce that kind of form. What you tend to find is these guys push again the next day. I mean, there's a great history of people failing to kind of reproduce that form. It's highly unlikely that Adam Scott's going to shoot 64. He'd probably take a 70 now just to kind of maintain some kind of leaderboard momentum. I think the door's open for Kuchar there, 5-4. I mean, I understand what Butler is saying about it's the road to the poorhouse back in these odds-on shots. Believe me, I've found some very interesting ways to the poorhouse over the years. It's not just that one. But I mean, I do wholly agree with this. I think that opens the door there for Kuchar. Some very shrewd golf judges are with Kuchar this week. I think before the three balls, he'd probably be the favoured player for most people. I think we can safely step in there at 5-4 and get a bit of value. As regards the other one, I'll let you two go to war on that one. I'll have a little 5 on Clark and just kind of leave you to it.
Well, to be honest, now the pressure's off, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise if he did have a good round tomorrow after his horrendous round today.
Yeah, pretty brutal stuff. But I mean, there's quality players listed throughout this field. Yeah. You only need to compile, like you said, a good 9 holes, 10 holes, just to get yourself back into the shape here. You've got to imagine scores are going to come back. Yes. There's no way this will be maintained. Surely not. The weather at some point will blow and people will be under pressure.
I think Sunday they're saying it's going to be the worst.
And that's the time, obviously, where Butler mentioned Paul Lawrie. Even maybe a guy 10 off the pace can still make a move if he gets the best of conditions.
All right. Well, that's just 2 of the available three balls that there are tomorrow. Butler's got a couple more of interest. Back to you, Nige.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start off with a couple of ones here. I mean, again, we're going to the odds-on guys. And you've got Graham McDowell, 10-11. He was the forgotten man. He was the guy who come here and said nobody was friendless, even despite being a major winner. He was the one out of all the British contingent everyone could fancy. But he's done well today. Obviously, he's 3 under today. Hit a fantastic round. The thing is here, this is the interesting one. Dustin Johnson. 2 times he's played in the Open Golf, missed the cut on both times. Birdied the first, started looking good to then, and then went 3 over. So McDowell, Johnson, it's a match betting round. Fujita, not really for me. I fancy having a few of them for my dinner tonight, but I don't really want a Fujita. But it's McDowell and Johnson, really, honestly. But again, you have to fancy McDowell. You have to think McDowell's got a chance here at 10-11. But the problem is it's this magical odds on. it's not a great betting strategy. But if you're looking at this one, you have to say McDowell is the worthy favourite. But does he make tips on? I'm not so sure. Now, this is the one for the betting interest. This is the one out of all the 3 balls today. Tomorrow, this one will probably see maybe 5 or 6 times more. And this one, the cameras are going to be, it's perfect TV viewing. 2:43, they're being at around about 6 o'clock. Perfect television history. So you'll see all the betting volumes been on this one. And it's all about Tiger Woods, 6-5. Will he do what he did today? Will he come back to some form? Will he make a move? But the thing is, Tiger Woods always makes his move on the 3rd round. That's his big day. Justin Rose has to get in contention. He has to make a move. He was so disappointing today. Bookmakers were running scared of Tiger Woods. He was Justin Rose. He was the biggest loser in the book. He has to make a move today. 11-4, I think he can make a move. And Sergio Garcia has had so many chances to win a major. He would not carry £1 note of Butler's money. But Rose, I think Rose might have a move tomorrow, and I think 11-4 here, Justin Rose, to take on this Tiger, because again, the strategy we spoke about in the first part. Interesting, and of course, I can't let you go for this moment, Butler, without telling you, or rather admonishing you, for yesterday's advice. So you were all over Justin Rose. He's going to win the tournament. He's going to shoot the best first round score. 74. What's gone on? That's good. That's good. That's good for the start of the first round. I would have taken that. I didn't expect anyone to sit 6 under. 74. You told me at the start, I would have taken it. Honestly, I would have taken it. But I mean, let's be open. He hasn't had a good start. But this is one championship where people can hit 74s and 75s and still win it. You know, they're not out of this yet. You know, he's got a great chance. It's not the perfect start. You know, I was on at 33-1. He's now 333-1, admittedly. But he's still not out of it. He's still not out of it. And tomorrow, 11-4. He's got to make a move. He's got to put some pressure, and I can see him doing that. Yeah, I think you should rehearse for the part of Pinocchio in Punter at Christmas. Just briefly on Tiger Woods, 6-5 against Garcia and Rose. I can't have Garcia, I'm afraid. Well, Garcia, would you believe, was the biggest loser in the Sporting Bet book. Was he really? Yeah, and then you mentioned Rose is probably the 3rd or 4th, and the other guy who was one of the biggest losers was the gentleman we mentioned in the other 3 ball, Dustin Johnson. So these are big, you know, some power hitters in there. Certainly Johnson, very long indeed. But as a layer, as a bookmaker, you know, you think to yourself, most punters will step in on Woods here, 6-5, 11-10, I think are the best prices. You know, it's a great lay from a bookmaker's point of view. He's taken on 2 world-class players there, over 18 holes. It's a sprint. You know, as Nige said there, there's every possibility Rose will come back strong. Garcia, you don't want to rule him out. Still a great ball striker. Obviously, the putting is his nemesis. But you know, I'm a layer of Woods in that market, maybe in hope more than any kind of technical skills here. I really think we can get this guy beat. I see what you're saying, but when I look at Woods today, it wasn't so much the score, which was very respectable, 3 under. It was the way he played. He missed 1 fairway, and that's where he dropped a shot. That's the only shot he dropped. He missed so many birdie chances, and in some ways that's like a football team making chances but not converting them. At some point, they are going to take him. It might be tomorrow, it might be Saturday or Sunday. As long as he keeps creating those chances, I think he's got a massive shout. Yeah, and I think, and obviously the market's backing you up on that at the moment, Trev. I mean, the one thing I would say about Woods since the incidents and since he's come back to form and whatever, is that he does struggle to put 4 rounds together consecutively. He does have a blip. It was the final round of the US Open he completely blew out, where he really would have been a bad result for bookmakers. You just get the feeling, we're not quite as worried as we used to be maybe a decade or so ago. I just feels that maybe he might blow it, but you know, you've got to take these chances. He missed plenty of putts in that US Open. He's got to take some of his chances now if he's going to catch this stellar field. Frankly, it's full of great players, isn't it? We'll find out tomorrow and over the course of the weekend, of course. Right, more golf when we come back, so don't go away. Welcome back. You're watching the Punter here on Sports Tonight. And of course, it's all things golf. Russ Wiseman from Sporting Bet is here. I want to talk about the top European market, because the fact that Westwood and Rose played so poorly today, I would imagine has really shaken that market up, because they'd have been 2 of the more favoured players. Well, certainly Westwood. Every single tournament the guy plays, he's got a band of followers, just a general well-being. He's a very well-liked player as well, isn't he, Westwood? That people, he doesn't have a really inconsistent patch about him, so you usually get a run for your money. Started off well today and then just faded away. So it's amazing, wasn't it? 2 birdies and then it just all went pear-shaped. Yeah, again, his problems on the greens tend to hurt him. If his ball striking ever lets him down, Westwood, you're really in trouble with him, and it just looks as though it's going to be uphill for him again. And like you say, Rose, with all that big money before him, anti-post, in the day before the tournament, he's another disappointment. But like I said, it's opened this market up quite nicely now. Most of the homegrown players, actually Europeans and Brits, were more heavily backed.
than the US players. So this market's probably got more concentrated effort in it than the top overseas players.
I just wonder sometimes, looking at the way Tiger's played over his career, and before him Jack Nicklaus and lots of others, there's a kind of, regardless of their actual ability with the club in their hand, there's a kind of mental toughness, steel about those kind of players. And I'm not sure, wonderful player as Westwood is, he's won so many tournaments but not a major, he's won millions of dollars, but I just wonder with him that whether the big occasion he's like always going to find at least one player too good, and the same with Justin Rose actually.
Well, I mean, it's a very, very good point, because what these guys are very good at, Rose, I mean, in particular, Lee Westwood, are manoeuvring themselves into position to win the big ones, and then just not quite making it past the line. And it can be a double and triple bogey for Westwood, can't it? And then he comes back again. He tends to really fade when the pressure's right on, but when he comes to a European Tour event, of course, he just kicks on and wins it convincingly. He's a very unusual player in that regard. Great player for bookmakers, I have to say, over the years, because he has traded very short in so many of these tournaments and yet to do the business. So, I can't say he's a nemesis of mine at the moment, certainly from a punting point of view.
All right, well, we've talked around the odds. Let's see exactly what they are. We'll cross over to Butler, who's still at Lytham.
Yeah, still here. The wind's getting up a bit here, and obviously I think it's going to be tricky for players in the second. Anyway, just a quick thing. I mean, obviously you talk about Lee Westwood there. He was 2 under through 4 holes today. He was a tournament leader, down to 5-1. People were backing him at 5-1 favourite to win the. He's out now tied 111th at 3 over and around about 150 to 1. Just shows you how much people react to things early doors in the golf. Anyway, we're on to now to the top European market. Now this is an interesting market. Obviously Lee Westwood is still in the betting here at 3-1, which to me just looks an absolute ludicrous price. You've got to be on the front two. Rory McIlroy here, he's my fancy all the way through in this market, 3-1. He's sitting nicely under par there, doing very, very well tonight. Dow there, they've got a man, the favourite at 2-1. Luke Donald 7. But again, look, what a very competitive market. You've got so many runners. You've got people in there. Padraig Harrington, 7-1, twice Open champion. This is a market that will run and run and run. There is no one who's going to pull away and win this market. This market could go all the way to the 18th or 17th hole on the final day, because that's how close the field is. But on the back of the first day, the big disappointment is Lee Westwood. Luke Donald not setting the world alight as world number 1 should do. Padraig Harrington tipped up in some quarters, hasn't done it in the first round, but has got the potential to do it. But the market here, I think Rory McIlroy should be the favourite, and at 3-1, I think he's the winner I'll be putting my money.
It's interesting, isn't it, Russ? Someone like Paul Lawrie there was a price. Is that because maybe the bookmakers are thinking, right, well, he's had a good day today, clearly, and he's had a few decent days in the last few months since he's come back to form, but they're kind of thinking, right, he's not going to stay there. It was a 100-1 shot at the start. This is a kind of flash in the pan a little bit, because I think that's quite generous.
Well, it looks generous when you look at the leaderboard and his current position in relation to those players, but I think the main reason, Trev, really, is that when you look at that list that the Butler just put up there, elite players. We're talking about some of the very best players in the world. If Paul Laurie's going to maintain his position at the head of those players, he's going to have to excel every single day. I mean, the one point that really backs you up, though, is the fact he's got great tradition in this tournament. He's a former winner.
Yes.
Yeah, the only guy on that list who is. So I mean, on that basis, he obviously Padraig Harrington as well, but it gives him a real chance. On that basis, we know he can probably hold himself together. But this is a maturing market still. As a bookmaker, I don't really see a lot of business on that market on a Thursday night, Friday morning. It tends to happen when the cut's been made, and then people are kind of really formulating a proper opinion. You're still putting yourself in position in this market at the moment. Get through tomorrow, get yourself into some kind of condition to challenge for the title, then maybe we should step in with some big bets.
Let's talk about the top US player, because those punters who, like me, backed Tiger on the outright, just purely because I thought he was a massive price. I didn't back him for top US player, just because I was quite happy with my 10-1 on the outrights. Do you think most Tiger backers did that, or was there some money for Tiger as top American?
I'd be very surprised if there was a lot of money for Tiger in the US market, because I looked at our field book, the sporting bet one, and it was there was very little money around for Woods in the outright.
Yeah.
In terms of the US market, less again. I think if people were with Woods, they wouldn't have been focusing on that market. I think you're in the majority of people. However, maybe there was some value to be had. I don't actually know what price he started off in that market, but clearly now he's put himself in position. Nigel made a very good point before. The cameras are going to be on him constantly now tomorrow. That he's really going to be the focal point of this. From a betting point of view, and bearing in mind that TV and media coverage is so much geared towards punting these days, you know, it's not going to take any encouragement. Every good shot he hits will see people pressing the send button on the iPad and picking up the phone. Every poor shot will probably still see people maybe taking the extra value. Most of the activity will centre around him. One thing I would say, at this point now, the fact that we're having this conversation, I think Woods will be a false price now, pretty much all the way in.
Too short.
All the way in now, I think. He may well win it, but I don't think you're getting the value is to be had, I think, probably
at the start.
When you place your bet. I mean, that's the time when you really had the good chance to make your money, Woods.
Interesting. Let's get the latest on the top US market. And also, do you happen to know, Nigel, what price Tiger was at the start to be top US player?
Yeah, it was a big discrepancy really. Some bookmakers were 7-2 Tiger to be the top American. And I remember Ladbrokes being very short. They were 11-5 when Brad was in here yesterday. Now he's an 8-5 favourite. Now this price here it's not going. It's a little bit bigger than 6-4. It's not going to be a huge price. So I think what punters will be doing tonight, if they fancy Tiger Woods to win the Open or do well in the Open, they're not going to be attracted by this 8-5. They'd rather be attracted by the price for him to win it because they're thinking he can beat a good quality field here. And the Europeans haven't really done much as yet. Obviously you've got Adam Scott, rest of the world player there. But there's a couple of other ones here I think of value. I mean, you know I like Zach Johnson. I think he had a fantastic round today. I thought he looked solid all the way through. But this man here, Bubba Watson, 4-1. Another forgotten man, US Masters champion, on exactly the same score as Tiger Woods, exactly the same score. He's the man in form, and he looked like he liked links golf today. He looked at the home of the place. Look at a big price. Phil Mickelson. Again, when he's on the move, there's no one better. Again, he looked like a solid start. This is not all about Tiger Woods' this market. There's value elsewhere. And this man here I like. If you shop around, you'll probably get bigger. And these two here, Bo Van Pelt, 11-2. A lot of people have put this guy up as a potential Open winner. He hits the ball long. He hits it straight. He rakes the fairways. He's been the one, if everybody you speak to knows about golf, they always give you someone saying, oh, I have a few quid on Bo Van Pelt, I have a few quid on Bo Van Pelt. He's always there or thereabouts. He's a very, very popular name amongst gold shrewdies. And Matt Kuchar as well. We spoke about him earlier. We said he could have a big day tomorrow. We thought he's going to make a move. We thought he could beat Adam Scott. And these two here, for me, represent value. It's not about this guy here. This is no value 8-5. Russ is absolutely right. There is no value back in Tiger Woods' market. Shop around and look for these guys in this section here. This is where the value is. Bubba Watson, Bo Van Pelt, Matt Kuchar, and my man Zach Johnson, who's going to absolutely wipe the floor with Ernie Els tomorrow.
You wish. I tell you what, one thing I was completely wrong about, and that was Bubba Watson. I looked at him on the outright, dismissed him completely for a couple of reasons. One is there's this thing about he hates travelling outside the States. And secondly, I'm thinking he's going to go bash with his driver, that lovely pink driver he's got, into the rubbish, this rough you can't get out of, and that'll be him done. I watched him today. He was fantastic. He was hitting that 2-iron virtually off everything. He hit one driver and a couple of 3-woods. The rest of these stingers, they call them, with their 2-irons. He looked the model disciplined golfer. He hardly put a foot wrong. And
when you've got the kind of power that he's got, you can obviously step back a little bit and maybe not go with the big clubs. Great point that Nige makes as well is that he looked as though he enjoyed links golf. He's a very creative player. We saw that in the final hole, didn't we, in the playoff against Oosthuizen at the Masters. He can create shots, and maybe links golf is for him as well. And of course, he's got pedigree in these kind of tournaments, so maybe he's a runner. But I tend to agree with Nige again. I hate to do this all the time, but I agree with the Butler. But you know, the fact is that when you look at that market there, 8-5 Woods, you've got 7 elite names in behind there, real good players. I prefer to have them running for me as a group and than be with Woods 8-5. So I think there's a lot of golf to be played here. But I do think these are maturing markets. Let's speak again maybe tomorrow, early Saturday morning as well, maybe, and we'll have a far clearer idea of where the money will be going. But at the moment, people just settling in with a few small bets. The big stuff still to come at the weekend.
Interesting, Nigel, that we looked last night at the top rest of the world market. I don't think we hardly mentioned Adam Scott, but of course he's going to be at the head of affairs now. Do you think he's a bet on this market, or is rather like Tiger, is the value gone?
I think the value's gone. I think he was the favourite in the market. I think he was around, off memory, I think he was about 11-2, 6-1 favourite for this market. The trouble is in this market, there isn't the quality of opposition. You know, if you look at the rest of the world market, you could probably narrow it down, even at this stage now, to about 4 or 5 people. But, you know, the American, the European, there's such a depth of talent. I mean, you've got Adam Scott at the top there. He's 6 under. He's a clear favourite for that amount. I mean, the bookmakers are still using their calculators now, getting up these markets. I would expect Adam Scott to be a touch odds against, maybe around about 5 to 4. Similar kind of price to Tiger Woods, that kind of price. You then got Ernie Els at 3 under. Well, we all know he's going to have a nightmare tomorrow, so I wouldn't be backing him. And then you've got to look around at some other people there. You've got Oosterhuizen, who I thought would do well. Charles Schwartzel, and that's where I'll be looking at. Charles Schwartzel, Oosterhuizen, they know how to play links golf. They could be a big bet. The trouble is also as well is shop around for your each way betting, because, you know, 6 to 4 favourites give some great chances each way betting. Some bookmakers may still be offering a quarter the first 4, maybe a fifth the first 3, whatever you can. But look around for each way terms, because you could get a big runner there each way to put the pressure on the guys at the top.
Just very briefly, Nigel, before you go from Lytham, just tell us, it's a couple of hours play left now there. Just touch the green for us. Is it getting a bit dewy? Is there a bit of dampness on the greens now?
Well, I mean, it's not so bad here. I mean, it should be okay tomorrow. I mean, the rough we saw over the back there, I mean, I was over there earlier. That's pretty daunting places. But, I mean, it's all right here. But let me tell you something. Tomorrow, the clouds are gathering over here, and it's going to be interesting. But to tell you what, one thing is in today, joking aside, what a fantastic betting round. And if we can have bad weather and we can have 20 runners in it, that is what the punters want. You know, this is one tournament you want it to absolutely rain down on you in the final round, because no one will have a clue. And that means that all the clever guys and everyone out watching this show will be making it ready. So let's get it rain. Let's get 30 people in going down the charge of the last round, because we could all have a big winner on this.
I love it. I love your style. So much for the golf. When we come back, we'll be talking cricket, because plenty of action today at the Oval. See you in a minute. Welcome back. You're watching Sports Tonight. Well, so much for the golf. There were plenty of South Africans getting very cocky before today's first test at the Oval. They're not so happy now, are they? England have had a great day on the first day of this 3-test series. And I would imagine, Russ, there was quite a lot of money bet, certainly before the test match, and definitely in play as well.
Very much so, Trev. I think we've even spoken about it on the Punter in the last few days, the fact that England, this was a chance for them to make such a massive statement, obviously solidify their position as the #1 test team in the world. And that's the way it's worked out today. I mean, they've really made a statement, haven't they? The mental strength of Cook and Trott has pushed them here now. Really attritional, concentrated cricket by England. And they put themselves in a very, very strong position now. And obviously, you're looking at the prices, you know, the 4 to 6, the draw, which has shortened up a bit, 6 to 4 England. But they've basically taken South Africa out of the match for the initial stage. Only 12 to 1 they're out to for this game, having started at around 4 to 1. So good shape England from a betting point of view, and traders in front.
I imagine the odds would have changed quite a lot in that first over when Strauss was out without scoring, and suddenly the odds would have shifted towards the tourists. And then, of course, the rest of the day, they were going the other way.
And, of course, when we get lots of cricket, we tend to get results. So immediately the draw was a very big price then. I think it drifted, initially to around about 4 to 1. Very, very quickly indeed. All we've seen since then is the patience, the mental strength of England, actually kind of batting, taking the play away from South Africa. This is what Test cricket's all about at the very top level. We're not talking about 4.5 runs and over here, Trevor. We're talking about teams really grinding it out, showing that they've got the discipline to do it. England have made a big statement here. Obviously, they're taking South Africa, and they're double-figure price now, and looking vulnerable in this first match.
Interesting what you say about the draw, Russ, because I know a man who was very sweet on the draw yesterday. Said it was going to rain all day, there'd be no play. Well, they've had virtually a full day. What have you got to say for yourself, Bet Butler?
Well, I'll tell you what I've got to say for myself. I told you about the draw at 5 to 4. I said it would be odds on. Don't worry about the rain. I said both these could score 500. I've got it right. You think I've got it totally wrong, but I've actually got it right, believe it or not. But the draw is the big mover, obviously, that everyone's saying about how well England have done. The thing is, England haven't changed. They were 5 to 4 before the ball was even bowled. They're still 5 to 4, despite how well they've done. I told you this draw. I said to everybody the draw will be shorter than 5 to 4. You said it was going to be Amber Solaire cream. I've got my jumper on. We still had an hour worth of rain in central London today, and it was the best day of the summer. 4 to 6 to draw. This is where it's coming, because South Africa here, 12 to 1, they've got no chance. But the thing is, mate, they will still get they can still get a great batting lineup, but they can still bat. And that's why I think the draw still was the value all along. You sat there yesterday, gave me all your stats. Oh, there hasn't been a draw in 30 days. Oh, it's always the best bet to lay. But I told you the draw will be odds on, and that's what it is. 4 to 6 to draw. I said yesterday 5 to 4, you'll be able to get out with a profit, and all the money will come from the draw, because I still think we're going to have some rain coming in the next couple of days as well.
You see, I think the bookies are being too simplistic, Russ. I really do. What they've thought is, OK, it's obviously a great track. because England has scored nearly 300 in a shortened day, not lost many wickets. But actually that pitch, listening to all the experts today who know far more than me, the likes of Boycott and others, this pitch is going to disintegrate, they reckon, on the 4th and 5th day. We've got the best spinner. Their spinner to here, he wouldn't get me out. He was absolute bowling filth today. I think those odds are slightly wrong. I'm still with England.
Well, I'm with you. It's painful to hear the butler cheer himself on this way. It's absolutely gut-wrenching. But he is right at the moment, no question about it. He's called it right. It would appear that way. I tend to err slightly towards what you're saying as well. I think this pitch will be will wear and tear, and we've still got to see what is probably the best strike force in terms of all-round bowling in world cricket at the moment. Still got to see them take the shape, and you know, you look at South Africa's batting lineup, it is incredibly powerful. The butler is correct. I mean, they bat deep. They've got great quality in there. They've got guys who can score hundreds, not just 100 though, Trev, 150, 160. The likes of Callis, Amla. These guys really can stockpile big runs. But you know, I do take your point. I mean, at the moment England are taking South Africa out of the game. I take the butler's point as well. It looks as though they're big. I just feel as though if England can make early breakthroughs, that 5-4 could come crumbling down, and maybe yet we'll see the butler, you know, with the egg on his face.
We may well. I've just got a feeling that Swan could be key in the second innings particularly, but we'll come back to that. Let's have a look at the series prices, because I think you were quite sweet on the draw in the series, Nigel, and I actually had a bit of respect for that. It was 11-4, I think, yesterday when we looked at it before a ball was bowled. What's happened to the series market after today's play?
Yeah, well, obviously the series market's coming down as well, as you've seen what's happened in the first test today. I mean, it's now a 2-1 shot from 11-4. I did fancy this. I thought at least one of the games would be a draw, so you've got a chance of a drawn series of 1-1. The thing is about with me and England cricket side is there's only one sporting person who's cost me more money over the years in England cricket. That's Tim Henman. So I can't stand England cricket. Of all the readies I've lost in the years, sell the runs, buy the runs, we're going to do it. I can't trust this team. And even at 67-100, I'm not having them. I'm not having the odds on to beat South Africa. I know they've got off to a good start, but the draw's still here. 11-4 before, 2-1 for me. What we've seen today is, I think the draw's odds on. So what happens is, and a best of 2 test match, then the draw becomes a huge runner, because I think we're going to get at least one. What I don't want is I don't want it rained off for the second one and both be draws. So that's what I really don't want. But at 1-1, I think we've got a chance. So I'm put all my eggs in the draw basket. You know, that's why I love this sport ground. Sit there for 5 days, Trev, and have a draw. Great.
You just got no appreciation of the greatest game on earth, have you?
Well, you saw my bowling yesterday, so you know.
I did. It was more like front crawlers, I remember. Yeah, I mean, pity Nigel wasn't around in 1981 when England were 500 to 1 to win that test. He could have done what Lillian Marsh did and filled his boots and walked away with a couple of bags full of cash. But it's interesting, isn't it, that England are odds on. The draw has shortened, and I can kind of see that, because we might get one really rain-affected test. I think the forecast for London the next few days actually is pretty good. So I mean, we haven't seen South Africa bat yet, as you say, but England have made such a statement of intent today, and of course they're out of their season. They've just arrived. All their warm-up games have been disrupted by the weather. It's no surprise that England, having had a little warm-up series against the West Indies, albeit a one-sided one, are quicker and fitter and better. And
they're an incredibly difficult side to beat on their own patch, England. I mean, this is a real fortress, you know, the English cricket, whenever they play anywhere here, very difficult to beat indeed. You know, naturally, only a day's play gone here, and obviously you take the balance of that. It's no wonder that the series prices have shortened from 11-4 into 2s, and England are odds on. But a lot of cricket to be played yet. I feel as though we spoke off air, and you made a very, very good point. You know, you look at this England batting lineup as well. You've got guys going in 8 and 9. You can smash
Bresnan,
50, 60,
Swan,
70.
Broad.
These are dominant, aggressive players. They've got a wonderful balance in England with this patient, mentally strong top lineup, and then as you go down the list, it becomes more aggressive, more powerful. Very well balanced team. I think the Butler's doing them a disservice. I think they've probably kind of dispelled a lot of the kind of demons of the past. They're pretty reliable outfit now at home. And I think South Africa will really need to step up. I mean, South Africans pride themselves on this tough kind of intent when they play their cricket. I think they'll really need to dig deep here if they're going to get anything out of any of these games. At the moment, I know they're odds on. That's the way I'd want to be. I can see why they're 4-6 to win the series.
Yeah, and what I'm interested in as well, Russ, is the fact that the first test has coincided with the golf that we were speaking about earlier. Does that affect how much money you take on the cricket? Because a lot of people are watching the golf who might otherwise be watching the cricket.
Well, I mean, people watching, flicking and checking.
Well, I was today.
I mean, quite rightly, they've got their iPads out and they're checking the scores. I mean, that's the nature of what we all do now, isn't it? Trying to keep up to date with it. But you know, the reality, though, Trev, is that in terms of the cricket and the golf, people won't be stepping in with the big bets at the moment. These are pretty much gentle feelers. I mean, I'm sure the Butler will touch upon this over the next couple of days on Sports Tonight TV. I mean, the fact is, you know, the big 4-figure wages in the Open will be struck on the final day. And as this Test match develops and matures, we'll see some bigger bets. At the moment, it's nicely balanced. The one thing we do know is that we'll take a very brave punter to back South Africa at 12 to 1.
Absolutely, absolutely. They're behind the 8 ball. We saw today 70 odd from Trott, 40 odd from Peterson. Cook stole the show with 100. What are the odds now on the top run scorer in the series? Because obviously they'll have changed a bit, Nigel.
Yeah, obviously they're moving around in running, and Cook has made sort of a stamp of authority. It's his statement of intent here. Cook's the man who's the favourite for this. He's going really, really well for England. He's no surprise. He's 19 to 10. I think that's a decent bet for me there. Against Trott there is 19 to 10. De Villiers at 24 to 5. We've yet to see what happened here. If you're not really introduced into these sort of prices, 24 to 5, they're 5 to 1 chance. He's a 5 to 1 chance. Peterson there 67 to 10. That's around about 7 to 1. But Cook is the favourite, 19 to 10, along with Trott. But all the money should be on Cook. 100 plus today, looking really, really good. Peterson all out for 42, but Cook is the man. He's the worthy favourite, obviously, for me, and how he started off today. So Cook, the favourite for that market, and looking strong if you've been backing Cook earlier in the series.
Yeah, I mean, if you had to pick 2 batsmen to bat for your life in that England team, it would be Cook and Trott, wouldn't it?
And I mean, funnily enough, they're actually quite limited players, but that's their strength. Their limited abilities, their strength, isn't it? They are so disciplined the way they play. They know exactly where their scoring areas are. They completely take what the butler says. If you wanted somebody and what point you make to bat for your life and to do the business, who better than Alistair Cook? Trott's not far behind him. The interesting point there, and what makes that such a fascinating market, is the 2 South Africans who are favoured in there, AB de Villiers and Hashim Amla, the complete opposite. Very flamboyant, extravagant players.
I'll be with Callis.
Well, I'm with you, because obviously what we've seen today is that it's been about patience, about discipline, about knowing what to do. Who better than Jack Callis? Averages mid-50s in Test cricket, one of the world's great ever players. I prefer to take the safer option, him around about the 6 to 1, 5 to 1 mark, than maybe these 2 swashbuckling players in terms of Amla and de Villiers. But they'll be great to watch.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's have a look at the top bowler market then. I think Morne Morkel got the first couple of wickets to fall today, and he was kind of a price. But Steyn was the shortest, I think, or roughly the same as Jimmy Anderson. How are we betting now, Butler, on the best bowler?
Yeah, Morkel started off really well, taking 2 early wickets. But Steyn, I still think, should be the favourite. He still should be the market leader, because I think he's going to take all those tail enders. Anderson is the favourite here. Obviously, we said yesterday he was going to be the main threat for England. He's 19 to 10. Morkel, after what he's done today, into sort of joint favouritism. It's all about this guy here, Steyn, for me. I still think he is the main attack for South Africa. I think he's going to come in at the tail enders and wipe the majority of them away. So he would be the bet. Broad, 19 to 5. We've yet to see what he can do. He's always capable of taking some wickets. I think at the moment what you've seen here is I think Morkel's made a little bit of move, but it could be a move too early for punters. We know he's taken 2 tough wickets, but I think when the going gets tough and South Africa need the wickets, this is the man who's going to come to an attack. Staying there at 119 to 50. So what you're saying there, it's around about a 5 to 2 shot, Steyn to be the top wicket taker in this series. And I think that's the bet. I think the favourite here, Morkel, is the wrong favourite. I think Steyn is your man.
Listen, just put your clipboard down a second, but I can't leave you on that market without seeing your bowling action one more time, because it was absolutely classic. Can you do that? Do a bit of pace bowling for us again tonight.
You want a bit of pace bowling for? No worries, mate. There you go. Look at him now. He's bowled him, and now he's
the
out.
frog in a blender from years ago.
I tell you what, there are cricket coaches all over the country tearing their hair out. But I think he's right, isn't he? Steyn looks the guy.
Well, I mean, the point that Butler made there, which is a great point, and I think punters need to take note of, is that when England are 6 and 7 down, this is the guy that they will fire up. He hits the base of the stumps, 90 mile an hour, serious bowler. He'll be the guy to clean up the tail. He didn't actually look so impressive today against England's real world-class players in terms of Trott and Cook. But, you know, he can knock away tail enders very, very quickly. And let's not forget that Morkel, even as short as last week, wasn't really guaranteed to get a game. He's not really favoured by the South Africans. He's overachieving at the moment in this game. I just feel as though Steyn is the option, but I'd love to see Jimmy Anderson bowl. He's going to be bowling very full, trying to swing the ball around. It'll be a different challenge for South African batsmen. They really may struggle against him. Yeah,
well, we'll see tomorrow. Should be another excellent day's play. When we come back, we'll be telling you about some dramatic news that's affected the Olympic tennis betting, and also some football odds as well. So stay with us. Welcome back to the final part of tonight's Punter. And you can see we have a spirited Nigel back from the cricket and from Lytham earlier.
I know, a bit of a dash.
You're clocking up a few miles, aren't you, on this shirt? Big news in the Olympic tennis today, chaps. Nadal is out, not going to play. So the big 4 are now the big 3, effectively. Djokovic, Federer and Murray. And that, of course, means bookmakers have to do a quick recalculation. Right?
Well, I mean, it takes a big percentage out of the book, doesn't it, Trev? However, obviously, the way that Wimbledon went for Nadal, I mean, and the ongoing discussions about his knee problems, etc., he probably wasn't the force he was maybe a month or so ago in terms of the betting. But this is essentially a reproduction of Wimbledon. Obviously, the same tournament essentially as well with the same conditions. But there's going to be certain people who are up for this, certain people who aren't up for it. I mean, we've got a particularly good tennis trader at Sportingbet. These things matter, and we'll be looking at each match on a match-by-match basis. But I believe the Butler's got a few views in this, which I think will be probably interesting to hear.
Well, I mean, one thing is, I don't think he'd be the first one to pull out. I think he'd be the only one of the top 4. But I think there'll be a lot of people coming out this tournament because there'll be people having injuries. They've got the US Open to come in August. So I think there'll be a lot of people coming out of this. But he's obviously the most high-profile person doing it. And I think there's one person who really capitalises on his absence.
Which is?
Well, I think you'll find that. I think David Ferrer.
Let's have a look at the odds. We'll have a look at the odds, and you can point them out to us. David Ferrer in there at 4.040 to 1. Why do you like Ferrer?
Well, I think this is as Russ said, it's exactly the same as Wimbledon. I mean, you got the Wimbledon form, and David Ferrer was a revelation. I mean, he got to the quarterfinals. He should have beaten Murray. He took Murray. Took the first set off him. He lost the second.
He was odds on in that match as well.
And he was playing really well. He's really improved. And also now he'll be seeded 4. So he'll be number 4 seed. So his path to the semi-finals is much easier because obviously he doesn't have to play Djokovic, Federer, or Murray to get to the semi-finals.
Yeah.
Now, who's to say one of those could go out? They played a lot of tennis this year, and Federer did have a back problem going into Wimbledon. So, and if you look at the history of winners of gold medals at the Olympics, apart from Andre Agassi and Nadal, there's been Miroslav Machir, Marc Rosset, Nicolas Massou, Marcelo Rios. These all hit 100, 150 to 1, 51 outsiders in the last sort of 6 years.
And am I right in thinking that the fact it's best of 3 sets till the final, that presumably acts as a leveller as well, does it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like whenever they play in Master Series events, they get much more shock results because of that smaller factor. Yeah. And I think just the fact that he's going to be the number 4 seed is great. Now the seedings you won't know if he's going to play the number 1 or the number 2 in a semi-final, but he's going to have Djokovic or Federer in a semi-final. But his path to there, he'll be heavy odds on till he gets there. So I think David Ferrer, on the back of this news here, he's no doubt going to be number 4 seed, is a massive advantage for him.
Would you take much money on Olympic tennis, Russ?
I think we'll take good money on it. I really do. I think a lot of these Olympic events at the moment, we're still waiting to gain some momentum. But next week and the week after, we're really going to start getting into full swing, aren't we, with this stuff? I think we'll see big money on this tournament. I think there's going to be huge money for Andy Murray as well. I think a lot of people, I know the draw is something that Nigel would always focus on quite correctly, but I do think there'll be a run of money on Murray after the way it ended for him. He's clearly found a new place in people's kind of affections after what happened. I take the point about Ferrer. I think that's a fantastically good price about him. But you look at Murray, those 3 guys at the top, 3 of the greatest who ever played the game, they raised their level of intensity to such an incredible standard for the major tournaments. I just wonder whether they can get up for it again for this kind of tournament. I know it's an Olympic year, but they've got other fish to fry. They've got the US Open. Maybe Murray, on his home patch again, essentially, can do something here. I think we may be shorter about him, but I do think this thing about Ferrer is an interesting one because let's not forget he was 8-11 at one stage to beat Andy Murray, a guy who supposedly would be a Clay Cup player, but really ramped it up.
Beat Roddick, comfortably beat Roddick as well.
Okay. I want to move it on to some football because it's a really interesting market's come out. And basically, the market is who will captain Arsenal in their first league game of the season, which I think is against Sunderland on the 18th of August. This, of course, because Van Persie, who is the club captain, has refused to sign a new contract. So, would you, if you were Arsene Wenger, he's still second favourite in this market. If you were Arsene Wenger, you know he's going to leave. You can't stop him because you want the 10 million, which he won't get if he stays for a year and goes on a free. Would you really want a player who's about to leave to be your captain, especially after he came out without even going to the club saying he was going to go? I'm thinking Wenger's going to rip that armband off his arm, but who's he going to give it to?
Well, Wenger's already said, hasn't he, that he believes that they can mount a serious challenge for the title this year, even if they're not competing on the same
That's
financial
the same
footing.
thing as Butler was saying earlier about Justin Rose.
Exactly right. He still said that, though. But I do think that this is a market that changes day by day because, obviously, there's clearly going to be inquiries about Robin Van Persie. Now, that can affect this market.
Yeah.
If he's going to leave, there's just no way he can obviously be in charge of the club.
Well, let's have a look at it, Russ. Let's have a look at the prices. Yeah. Because, as I say, Van Persie is still second favourite, albeit there's a big odds-on favourite. Thomas Vermaelen, the Belgian defender, is 4-11. But Van Persie's at 3-1, which just makes me think that the bookies don't actually know that much, because otherwise they would be a much bigger price about Van Persie.
And it's a small market, this one. I don't want to kind of delude the viewers here.
Yeah.
If you go on and try and have a grand on Vermaelen, you're not going to get it.
No.
So let's be honest about
No.
that. I think that's important. That's an important
It's 20s
point.
and 30s,
yeah.
isn't it?
I mean, Vermaelen is so far the obvious candidate to win this, to be the captain on the first league game, simply because of the kind of profile he is, the profile player is, the kind of man he is, clearly looks like a leader. When you see that Arteta is a 10-to-1 chance, I can assure you, I know Everton fans there who would let him captain their local 5-side team. So, I mean, I look at that there, and Van Persie clearly is the best player at the club, one of the 5 or 6 best players in the world.
Yeah.
This is going to be a story that kind of evolves more, but maybe.
But I mean, the thing is about it is the interesting factor is if he does stay, would you give him the captain armbag, or would you set a precedent for him? Yeah. I think if he stays, I think it's quite hard to make him captain. I think if you're looking for Vermaelen, he's obviously the #1 candidate, but he's so injury prone. Vermaelen's missed a lot of seasons. There's a big chance that he might not even be fit for the first of the season. One man there as an alternative, I think Alex Song at 16-1. He's captain Arsenal before. He's been vice captain for periods of time. He knows he's going to play every game. He's a standout player. So if you were going to have a 10 or 20 quid, if you thought Van Persie wasn't going to be there, I think Alex Song would be a logical choice, because you've also got Vermaelen. You know, the injury factor is huge.
Or do you throw a friendly favourite, someone like Jack Wilshere, who's clearly going to be the franchise player in the future? I know he's got injury problems of his own, but he's going to be the face of that club, surely, when Van Persie goes. Maybe
it's a good shout. Who knows when he's going to be fit? Just finally tonight, you may have read, if you haven't, it'll be news to you. Sports Tonight are going to be showing live Polish League football. First game is on the 17th of August. Every Friday, every Sunday and every Monday we'll be having live Polish League football. So we thought we'd put the odds up for the Polish League. Here we go. Legia Warsaw are the favourites. Lech Poznan at 5-2 with Wisla Krakow. Śląsk Wrocław, who actually won the title last year for only the second time in their history, are a 6-to-1 chance for a repeat. Ruch Chorzów at 9-to-1, Polonia Warsaw 14s and 24s bar those. What difference will it make to the amount of money you take, Russ, on this league, the fact that it is going to be live on this channel?
Well, I think that in terms of the overall league betting, Trevor, I'm not so sure that's so important. What I know for sure already, our traders at Sportingbet are talking about the daily games, what kind of market it's going to offer. I think we're going to see enormous business on those under 2.5, under 3.5 goals markets, the in-play. It's going to be huge, and I think that we'll see massive turnover right across the industry on that. And I mean, it'll really open it up for new punters as well.
And you're going to have to spend the next 4 weeks sorting your pronunciation out, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, I can't wait. I mean, the betting on it, this is probably the most competitive league in Europe. You don't get me wrong, these games are going to be fantastic, but I'm going to become a Wisla Krakow fan for the end of the season. I'm going to go down Soccer Base, I'm going to get a Wisla Krakow kit for Friday night, and I'm going to have it on, and I'm going to be supporting them this season. I'm going to have a bet on them as well to cheer me on for the
Whoever their big rivals are, I'll go against you. We'll have a brawl.
That's good. And that all starts, as I say, on the 17th of August, which is a Friday night. So stick it in your diary now. Fridays, Sundays and Mondays, Polish football, the new season, live right here on Sports Tonight. That'll do it for us this evening on The Punter. We're back tomorrow with more golf, more cricket and all sorts of other markets too. Thanks to Russ. Thanks to the Bet Butler. Most of all, thanks to you for watching. Till tomorrow, bye-bye.